Once upon a time, there was a tiny little hat store in a tiny little city in a tiny little land. In this tiny little store, you could find all kinds of hats, and all kinds of shapes and colors of hats. Shelves after shelves after shelves worth of hats. Down the aisle, you could see hats from all over the world: Europe, Asia, and Oceania, Africa, and America. Especially one hat stood out, and that was Priscilla the hat. She was a proud hat from Germany, and by far the prettiest hat there, but unfortunately also the meanest. Priscilla the hat liked to make fun of the other hats. It was her favorite thing to do as she was sitting on her shelf with her best friend, Jessica the hat. Ella was another hat in the tiny little hat store. Her wish was as plain as herself. All she wanted was to be a good friend and a good hat for her future owner. But it was hard for Ella. Because of her plainness, none of the other hats had ever wanted to befriend her. And Ella stopped trying, and did not even protest when her owner moved her to the bottom shelf in the darkest, most dusty corner of the store. A lot of time passed by, and she saw a lot of people come in, try on the pretty hats, but no one ever seemed to notice her. All the customers would come in, see Priscilla, and try her on just to put her down when they saw her price tag. However, no one would ever try on Ella. She had almost given up all hope when one day the shopkeeper's bell gave away a little ding-a-ling, and in the doorway stood two little feet. They made a leap towards the darkest, most dusty shelf in the whole store. Then two little hands grabbed Ella, and she was put on ahead for the first time ever. Ella was so proud as she was carried over toward the sales lady to be bought. As she passed Priscilla, being as happy as ever, Priscilla shouted after her, "She is not going to buy you, you know. The sales lady is going to persuade her to buy me." Before she had finished her sentence, the shop manager had handed the girl a different hat to try on. But despite all the attempts of the lady, the little girl wanted Ella, and Ella was very happy. Some weeks had passed, and Priscilla was still in the store, and still puzzling over why Ella had been bought and not her. Then she heard the shopkeeper's bell, and in came a lady, overly dressed with a fur coat and a beautiful hat. "She looks rich," thought Priscilla, "and the perfect owner for me." The lady stepped in and pointed toward her. "I knew I would be better off than Ella," Priscilla said to Jessica, and she was purchased and as full of herself as ever. But Ella was happy with her owner, who took better care of her than anyone else could, she thought. Together they went to the playground, the school, and a whole lot of other fun-filled activities. Going home from school one day, she noticed a garbage can full of worn-out hats, and on top she saw Priscilla. She looked bitter and sad all at the same time. And Ella thought to herself, "Poor Priscilla, maybe it really does pay off to be nice." And what happened to Priscilla, she never knew, but Ella lived happily ever after. The end.